I went over to Kat and I. We went and we had an early Christmas, a Friendsmas as it's called, with some of her friends. And we went over to one of their houses, and just had a small little get together and exchanged gifts and stuff. And we watched. We were like, oh, let's put something on. What do you guys want to watch? And we put on Norbit, the 2006 Eddie Murphy comedy, Norbit. So, sorry, 2007. You look at the poster for this thing, and it looks awful. It looks dreadful. I didn't really know what Norbit was about. I've heard of this film, and just it looks like shit. Like, it looks like dog shit. So Norbit, okay, a lot of people will say this as hyperbole because it's funny to say this. It's funny to describe something in this way. I mean this with complete sincerity, and I'm very serious about this. I think Norbit is a contender for one of the worst movies ever made. Like, it is I'm almost, I'm never at a loss for words for anything, right? I'm finding it really difficult to even describe how bad it is. How front to back 100% bad it is. There's one good thing in this movie, and it's Terry Crews. He's a delight, as he is in pretty much everything. So what is Norbit about? Well, it's difficult to describe the plot of Norbit because it is very, I would say very, like, amateurish. The script is very amateur in the way that it's constructed. I would describe it as feeling almost like a sequence of SNL skits in a very bad way. So, like, you've got, like, Adam Sandler Waterboy, where he was able to take, I think that was a character he played on SNL first, I believe, where he was able to take this character and turn the concept into a movie, but, like, there was, like, adjustments made because a 5, 6, 7 minute sketch on a comedy show is very different from an hour and a half movie. So, what is Waterboy's goals? What are his motivations? What can happen to him to change the status quo of his life and create conflict, perhaps? Norbit has this kind of aimlessness to it that makes it difficult to describe what actually happens, because there are conflicts and there are plot lines and there are characters. There are quite a few characters, but it never feels cohesive at any point. And I remember being like 20 minutes into the movie and just like asking, like, what the fuck is this movie about? In very simple terms, Norbit is about a man named Norbit, played by Eddie Murphy, who is married to a woman named Rasputia, also played by Eddie Murphy in a big fat suit and makeup. And, oh fuck, like, this is where you start running into problems. And, Rasputia is like this horrible bowl of a woman. And she's, like, abusive. She's a fucking nightmare. And she basically just tosses Norbit around like a I don't know, something that gets tossed around like a football. Fuck it. Norbit is unhappy in his relationship, but is basically so absolutely helpless. Okay, here's every single scene of Norbit. Norbit walks into the scene. Rasputia says, "Oh, And Norbit goes, and it's that for like fucking 90 minutes, 102 minutes, a fucking 100 minutes. That's like every fucking scene. It is. Norbit has almost no character. I don't know what he wants. I don't know who he is besides timid, I guess. He's a loser. He's a loser with like almost okay. He's such an empty, hollow character on this very basic level, in the sense it feels like Norbit does not have an internal dialogue. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I remember watching this video about one of the first Oswald the Lucky Rabbit cartoons, and they pointed out how Oswald's thing was that in times of conflict, he would start pacing around and thinking. That was like his little thing that he would do. And that was very important at the time for cartoons, because it showed that Oswald was a character who had thoughts, and he wasn't just kind of like Mickey Mouse was a character who was essentially like would be almost like puppeteered for the purposes of doing whatever the animators and storytellers wanted him to be doing. Oswald was a character who reacted to his environment. He thought about things. He thinks about things, and he has some kind of internal logic, right? Norbit is like the former. He has absolutely nothing going on besides the whole movie, the entire movie. Basically, Respucia has these three brothers who are kind of fun. I mean, one of them's Terry Crews, like, and they do these. They are like into this kind of seedy mafia style protection rackets and stuff like that. And they are trying, they are trying to get the rights to the orphanage where Norbit grew up, and so that they can convert it into a titty bar called Nippleopolis. And they're going to do this by tricking the god damn it, dude, it's so hard to describe. They're going to do this by tricking, okay, there's this girl named Kate who was a childhood friend of Norbit's, and it's really weird because when they're kids, like the actress when she's an adult, it looks nothing like the girl they got to play the child version of her. Like she's significantly lighter than the child actor. She looks nothing like her. And Kate is going to marry this guy who he had this name that was like Thandie Newton. No, that's the actress who plays Kate Thomas. What the fuck is his name? Oh my god, what is her fiance's name? Those are the brothers. His name is Dion Hughes. Dude, played by Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba Gooding plays her fiance, Dion Hughes. Dude, a guy named Dion Hughes, dude, cut your losses. It's fucking over. A guy named Norbit Albert Rice. Did I mention that? Oh, okay, hang on. That's for another thing. Kate wants to buy the orphanage to take it over from Norbit's. Oh god, we have to talk about it now. Fuck, I just said I didn't want to talk about it. Take it over from Norbit's adoptive Chinese father, Mr. Wong, who is also played by Eddie Murphy in Yellowface. There are so many scenes of Eddie Murphy pretending to be a Chinese man in a script that he wrote, doing an accent. And dude, it is, oh my, dude, it is fucking weird. It is so weird. It is so fucking weird. This movie's relationship with race. Okay. There's, I'm a very white guy, right? Far be it from me to claim to know what a group of people is or should be offended by. That, I don't know, man. But dude, there's some times where I just see something and I think, oh dude, oh man, this can't be good, right? Like this can't, right? And there's like this, like, it was so obvious to me. Respucia is this, like, oh my, dude, I can't even fucking describe how weird it is. She's frequently described as a gorilla. Most of the jokes in this movie are fat jokes about Respucia. It is horribly mean-spirited. As this big, she's always referred to as being this big, ugly gorilla. And she's this, like, big old dark-skinned black woman who talks like this, remember, in a script written and performed by Eddie Murphy. And then Kate walks in, and she's a slim, light-skinned black lady with straight hair, and I'm like, oh, there's some cultural shit. You know what? You ever see some cultural shit that you're not a part of, and you're like, damn, you guys are gonna deal with that over there. I'm fucking, that's your problem. This ugly, dark woman and this beautiful, light-skinned woman. Oh, you can feel it. You can feel all these this weird cultural shit seeping through this film. All the fat jokes and like, it feels, it's like a movie that was made to be, it's like an experiment by the Nazis to make the most tasteless film of all time. You notice how I haven't, like, described the plot very much? Because it's okay. It's just a series of fucking things happening. It's like, now there's the movie has absolutely no momentum from one thing into the next. It's like, here's Norbit growing up. Here's Norbit meeting Respucia. Here's Norbit getting married to Respucia. Here's Norbit and Respucia, and they're gonna have like 5 scenes in a row where the only jokes that are there's a jokes constantly, and every single joke is just about how fat she is. Here's a scene of, like, so much of it just blurs, and him with the brothers, and then just like total fucking nonsense. It reminds me a lot of Trapped in the Closet by R. Kelly. If you don't know, R. Kelly made this, it's called a hip opera. It's like like rock operas like Coed in Cambria or something like that. Or who had one? There's another one. Did Kiss have a rock opera? Some band like that. I don't know. The R. Kelly did one of those, and it really feels like he looked at like a Tyler Perry produced drama that would be on like the Oprah Winfrey Network, and he said, "You know what? I think I can do that while I'm pissing." And it's such a weird experience. It's hilarious. It's horrible. It is really fucking bad, but in a funny way. And one of the things that's really curious about it is that you get the sense that R. Kelly does not know how to write a story in long form. Because every single track, it's not like, when you go listen to something like the only real rock opera or, like, you know, concept album kind of thing that I'm really familiar with, or that I'm most familiar with, would be the Proto Men, the Mega Man rock opera thing. And I think that those albums are great, the two that exist. Fucking, when's the next one coming out? It's been like 10 years. Uh, I think that, Act 1, I think is really good in the sense that, like, you can listen to that album front to back, and there are, like, liner notes that give you a little bit of info about, the song, like a little bit of context for what's happening, but you really don't need it. You can listen to that album front to back and you get absolutely you know exactly what's going on. You know who the characters are. You get, a good enough idea of what kind of a world it takes place in. The conflicts that arise, and every song is like, here is, the what kind of emotion it feels like this is a section of a story where we're going to focus on, here's setting the stage for what's going on. Now we're going to focus in on this conflict that happens between Mega Man and Dr. Light and this conversation that they have. Now we're going to go to Mega Man getting the resolve to go out on his own. Now we're going to have this scene of him battling these robots. Now we're going to have him being confronted by Proto Man. And Proto Man's going to have this song where he's going to talk. And, like, every single track is, like, leads into the next one in a very logical way where you can totally follow the story. And musically, they differ in the sense that, I don't know, they fit the tone and the emotion that part of the story is supposed to convey. The kind of pacing that it's supposed to convey. A slower song for a more thoughtful part of the story. Something like that. R. Kelly basically writes the exact same song but changes the lyrics every single time. And it leads to this weird thing where it's like it just hits you in waves. Where the movie, or whatever I guess you'd call it a movie, kind of, because there's a live action companion piece. Like, it's set to the soundtrack. Where I think a lot of the characters are singing, or I don't know. I think R. Kelly does all the actual performance. But it's like every single, it's the same pattern of starting slow and then building up to some crazy climax and then cliffhanger, because that's the only way R. Kelly knows how to write a story. The only way he knows how to write is in the format of a 3.5 to 4 minute song. So the entire movie is in the format of a bunch of 3.5 to 4 minute songs mashed together with the exact same emotional arc every single time. It feels like Eddie Murphy in fucking Norbit basically took a bunch of, like, premises. Now, Norbit's trying to get in the car with his wife, but her fucking big old giant tits are too big because she's so fat and she can't fit into the car. And it goes on for what feels like an hour. Now they're going to the water park, and dude, oh my god, that water park scene is it's so insane. I think we counted, and there's like 10 jokes. There's 10 fat jokes in the span of like 7 seconds. It's actually absurd. There's like a joke every 3 seconds. It's an interesting movie in some sense because on a technical level, it's fairly competent, right? I wouldn't say there's anything that wrong with it in terms of direction or editing or score. It's literally just that the fucking writing it's one of the worst scripts ever produced. It's the only thing that's interesting about it, if it wasn't trying to be a comedy and failing miserably in such a like horrifying, like that's the only way that it becomes entertaining, is it becomes horrifying at how absolutely tasteless it is. You're watching Eddie Murphy dressed in yellowface saying, "Oh, I'm Asian. I hate the blacks and the Jews. I'm Chinese and I hate the blacks. Oh, ancient China." Dude, it's worse than Lo Wang. It is way worse than Lo Wang. And it's just that kind of shit constantly. Where I'm in disbelief at how low, like it keeps getting lower. Just a complete piece of shit. Oh, I'm Norbing out. Like, literally nothing redeeming about it in any earnest sense. The only way it can be enjoyed is, like, ironically. There is no way to enjoy it, honestly. It is like so fucking offensively bad. From minute what it drags. Like the thing with the pacing, this is as long, it's 100 minutes, right? It feels like 2 hours because the plot has no momentum. A scene will end and then you'll just be doing something else. And, you know, there's a plot line that progresses, kind of, you know, more so by like the last third, I guess. But God, it just keeps going and going and going. You feel the runtime so much. None of the jokes are good. It's dreadful, and I'm kind of shocked that Eddie Murphy's career survived. Let's see. Critical response. Coming off his Oscar-nominated performance in Dreamgirls, the talented but inconsistent Eddie Murphy plays 3 roles in Norbit. A cruel, crass, stereotype-filled comedy that's more depressing than funny. That's pretty good. A pretty good way to put it. Let's see. Let's look at some IMDb trivia. He wrote it with his brother Charlie Murphy. That's crazy. Thandie Newton followed a strict diet during filming the script. During filming, the script described Kate as much thinner than a common girl. This is also to make Respucia look heavier. There's all sorts of weird, there's all sorts of weird shit going on, right? Like, I don't know if that's true, but if that is, that's kind of crazy. They told her to, like, thin up to make her more beautiful and to make the Respucia character, who was played by Eddie Murphy in a fat suit, look fatter. That's kind of shocking. That's a lot to chew on. Okay. This is the first movie in 12 years that Eddie Murphy has written a story. Oh. Yeah. He did not. I think he hadn't written a movie in 12 years. I guess that plays into my idea of this being a very amateur feeling production. To make Respucia's voice, Eddie Murphy placed ice cubes in his throat. Huh. Eddie Murphy took inspiration in writing the movie from watching online home movies where larger African American women would beat up on their considerably smaller husbands, which Murphy would find amusing. Again, there's like a lot of weird shit going on here, right? According to Thandie Newton, the movie was originally going to be darker. The first draft Newton read involved Respucia abusing Norbit to a much heavier extent than in the final movie. Again, there's like some weird shit going on here, right? What the fuck, Eddie Murphy? Yeah. Wait, what? Eddie Murphy was hardly ever on set. He has the best stand-ins you've ever seen. Wow. That's kind of interesting. There is kind of a... because he's got this horrible-looking afro. You kind of get... I kind of figure... I was like, is that really him? Or is he just... because his face is not on screen for so much of the movie. Yeah. This was the final collaboration between Eddie Murphy and makeup effects legend Rick Baker. Murphy's difficult behavior on set, which consisted of lashing out at Baker and his crew, refusing to wear many of the bodysuits, what's the premise of the movie, or to come out of his trailer, resulted in the two having a falling out. Huh. Damn. The ending of this movie is the craziest thing I've ever seen, and I think you should watch it just for that. Norbit, I think, is worth watching, if only because it really gives you a sense of how low culture can go. I think it's a low point. And for that reason, it becomes an important cultural artifact. In 100 years, we'll be talking about Norbit and what it meant for society. And how it was the butterfly flapping its wings that led to the nuclear holocaust on the other side of the planet.